Okay, so in my work, I was able to go from negative 2x minus 8y equals 16. And in my next step, I only have negative 8y on the left-hand side. So my question is, what step did I do right here that got negative 8y by itself? Douglas. What step did I do in here that I'm about to write down? Okay, so negative 2x was on the left-hand side. Alfred. And it moved over to the right-hand side and became positive 2x. What did I do to both sides of the equation here? Turn and talk to a teammate. How did negative 2x become positive 2x on the other side? Turn and talk to a teammate. All right, bring it together. Thank you, guys. Kamani, what did we do? Add 2x on both sides. Like that. Negative 2x plus 2x, those are opposites. So that's canceled. Bring down negative 8y. And now 2x plus 16. Okay, cool. Now, how do we get y by itself here? Douglas said divide by negative 8. Kamani, what would you divide by? You'd also divide by negative 8. Okay, so that's correct. Divide both sides by negative 8. So negative 8 divided by negative 8 gives us just 1. So that's 1y. 2 divided by negative 8 is the same as negative 2 over 8. And then positive 16 divided by negative 8 is negative 2. Okay, so this is a great answer. If you simplified your slope, then that's great too, but you don't have to. Either way is fine. Negative 1/4 x minus 2. And let's take a moment to go over to question number 3, which is referring to question number 1. So based on this, turn and talk to a teammate. What is the slope and what is the y-intercept after what we did there? All right, Alfred, back to you. Based on what we did on number 1, what do you know about that equation?
So you know that we put positive 2 on both sides.
What I mean is, based on what we did here, what is the y-intercept? What is the slope? What is the starting point when we graph? What is the pattern?
So the y-intercept is, which one? This one is 4.
3.
So the y-intercept is 2.
Not quite. You're looking in the right place.
On 2x.
Nice. You're saying negative 2x is the y-intercept?
No, it's a slope. 2 is a slope.
Okay, I'm going to go for another opinion. Douglas, what you got? Negative 1 over 4 is the slope. How do we know that negative 1/4 is the slope, Douglas? Okay, cool. So let's talk about the graphing pattern. You're right that negative 1 is down 1, and then the 4 in the denominator is to the right 4. So our pattern is going to be down 1, right 4. Good job. But my question is, how do we know that negative 1/4 is the slope and not something else? When you look at this equation, how do you tell which number is the slope? Jalen. So it's right. It's You're correct. It's the number that's multiplied by x that's the slope. Once we get y by itself, the number that is multiplied by x is the slope. All right, and what is the y-intercept? What's the y-intercept? Douglas, what's the y-intercept? -2. So then what is what's the starting point for when you graph? We talked about this yesterday. Not -2/8. We want to take this y-intercept and think about what this point means as far as x comma y. There's no 8 in this answer. It's the y-intercept of -2. Please, there's nothing to laugh about. Turn and talk to a teammate. What is the starting point for your graph based on y-intercept equal -2? Okay, back to you, Alfred. X comma y. 0 comma -2, because on the y-intercept, right, it's going to be on the y-axis. So that means x is going to be 0. Look at the board. Right. And then, so right there's your 0 comma -2. There's your starting point. And then this pattern, down 1, right 4. Be kind of like this, down 1, right 4. It's going to look something like that. Okay. The reason we went over this is because we had students struggling yesterday with how does the slope represent itself on the graph? How does the y-intercept represent it on the graph? And then on this, we had to actually get this in slope-intercept form before we knew what the slope was and what the y-intercept was.